Hello, everyone, and welcome to what is my latest attempt at starting a Space Engineers series here on YouTube. Those of you that have followed me for a while know that this isn't my first time trying to start one. With a bit of luck, though, I'll be able to get a little bit further in this one than I have in previous attempts. Now, we are starting with a little bit of work already done. I've already done some mining, got ourselves a nice little cavern over here, as well as we've already made it to the iron, and as you can see from my HUD, we've got a decent amount of other resources already scattered out. I've also built a partial base. Don't have too much on it currently. Now we got our door, subhead, basic assembler and refinery, a couple of the new battery banks, the small inset connector, and a pair of the twin blade wind turbine. And as you can probably tell from both the HUD markers as well as the terrain, we're on Mars. Because I've actually only ever made it to Mars in one playthrough, and that was shortly after I picked up the game. Sparks of the Future had just recently released, a little bit after I made it to Mars playthrough. So I decided, it's time to finally head back. So, this playthrough, I'm going to try and do something a little less structured than on my previous attempt. I usually try to put together some story, narrative, and I think that's part of what's kind of hampered a lot of those attempts, because I get a little too focused on a story element rather than actually just trying to play. So, trying to see if ditching the story and just playing, albeit, we'll still keep a few objectives in place. Let's see if that makes things a little bit easier. Our first objective is going to be expanding our base a bit, because we've got a trade station a little ways away that I visited and picked up a bunch of acquisition contracts. So we're going to try and build up our base so that we can actually, have the means of production for stuff like the gravity component, as well as, being able to build ourselves a vehicle that can carry all those goods over and make that trip a little bit faster than a little survival program can. Now, a few extra things to note: I'm running with the survival settings on, and as part of that, we've got heavy solar radiation enabled, which was in part of why I built this little structure when I did. Give myself some protection from that radiation. Let's go ahead. First things first, I think we're just going to need to stockpile a solid amount of iron. So, I'm going to do that real quick. Then it'll be right back. We've got ourselves a bit of iron stacked up. Obviously, we are going to need a thermal one, but I believe we've got enough to at least get ourselves started on our personal build. And that is going to be setting up a
Energy low.
power. Going to do primarily solar. Um, Going to take full advantage of the fact that we've got a lot of just wide open space available to us. We're also going to take one while our two recharges to also let our radiation a bit. Yes, Mars does have an atmosphere, but it is incredibly thin, so it doesn't really help us out all that much with blocking out solar radiation, especially since I've got kind of high. It is going to present as quite the challenge when we make up the space. We're going to have to work almost exclusively from within vehicles or through run. We're not going to be able to do just spacesuit EVA often, if at all. Which, truth be told, is going to be part of the fun, in my opinion. First things first, these little capo rounds. We're going to need a good bit of steel plate for them. I think the one that I want to use I'm not entirely sure that I want this. There we go. I wish we had two. You know, this more covered one. But in the form of cable run. Want to build this out a ways from the core section of our base, just to give us plenty of clearance for expansion. This will be kind of that is just kind of our aim point. Probably change that some. something I might also do might actually be a bit of a better option for this. Is I am running. Oh, that's right. I just saw something. I'm running the AQD conveyor pipe. Might actually work better for basically what we're going to do once my rage goes down is we'll build out the cable just for the visual of having, you know, cables running between our base and our solar farm. And then I will use the conveyor pipe to allow me to connect into the farm and have a mix of algae farms and oxygen. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead. We'll skip ahead to when I have things a little more laid out. Hopefully, they'll make it a little more clear, you know, what I'm aiming for. Once again, I will see you guys in a bit. Alrighty. Taking advantage of the nighttime to be able to build, you know, without too much issue. Go ahead and charge. Okay. You can see we've got our cable run with the pipe on top of it. Got a couple of junctions so that I can turn the pipe off, you know, in either direction. Then we've got our advanced rotor, hinge, algae farm, and solar panels. And then eventually this is all going to be tied together via um, well, I could either use this with the custom turret controllers, or is these uh, solar alignment script. Since I'm running this as just a single player world, I can run the script without really any issue. Not entirely the intended effect there, but I'll take it. Warning light, just so that if or when I get a flying ship, I'll actually be able to do these.
Fuel low.
I suppose this actually isn't a terrible thing to have happen. So it's a good way to get an idea of currency.
Fuel low.
I'll just run something right now. I just ate the last of the food that I had on hand. So it's not going to be long before we end up needing more. haven't even made this all that big yet, and already I'm starting to lose track of direction. Drop a one.
Fuel low. Fuel critical.
Completing this full run. Even just this first oh, definitely going to quite a full lot. Completing higher. Hang on, just think I how slow these numbers can be.
low.
Look at that. Alright, and finally producing some food. It does mean I need to get a jump in building an actual food processor.
Meteor storm inbound.
That's gonna be one of the next things I'm probably gonna have to build. Right. And it's still low enough that this just as being shit. That's one. I think. Or out. and slap down like a cargo container. Pass it to the algae. Next steps are going to be setting up our control for those farms, and then some more expansion of the base, including getting the survival kit moved off of our rover, which is about to have its battery die, and getting the survival kit moved onto the base, which I think I'd rather have the base a bit more built up, just to give the survival kit a safe location to be built in. But we'll see how much longer that battery. Yeah, so finish out the rest of the farms, expand the base a little bit more, and then I think our next step is going to be looking at probably just modifying our starting rover. Either modifying or replacing. I've yet to decide. What I think I'll actually do is I might leave that to you guys. Drop a comment on whether you think I should just modify the spawn rover into something for cargo or mining, or if I should just scrap it and build up something new, something from the ground up. Let me know what you guys think, and hopefully it won't be too long before I see you guys again. Until then, take care.